That's exactly what Antonius wanted them to think. If Ellie had a pair of eights there, or a hand like ace-queen, he might have gotten in big trouble.
116,400, and Ellie anxious to see what the flop would have been, but he may not be too anxious to see who's right around the corner. Phil Ivey. Look who's getting ready. We're coming right back. Welcome back to the FullTiltPoker.net Aussie Millions Cash Game Invitational. Oh, once again, we take a look at our current standings. Ellie Elezra is still at the top of the list, but the rookie, Nikki Jedlicka, stuck 15 grand, and he will not have an opportunity to get it back because Nikki is out. And look who's coming in. Not a bad player, Howard.
Well, Phil Ivey apparently just came back from the golf course.
Hello.
He might have lost a few balls on 18. That's why he wasn't here for the start of the game. So he's got 4 of those $25,000 plaques, and I'm sure no one at the table is happy to see Phil. He's a true, tough competitor in the cash games. One of the big winners over the last few years.
Well, John Juanda has straddled here, and Ellie Elezra will limp in with a deuce-5 suited.
Basically, Ellie has shown us he's going to play any 2 suited cards, or even a semi-strong unsuited hand.
Fold to Tony G.
Yeah, not on the right.
And that queen-9 offsuit will call.
It certainly seems like this straddling has gotten people to loosen up their starting requirements. Gus looks down at just the kind of hand you actually like in a cash game. Ace-3 suited. This is the spot where you could flop a flush, really get paid off in a deep stack situation like this one.
Gus did make the call. Now John Juanda. And Juanda with a king-jack suited is going to raise to 8,100. Action back on Elezra.
Well, I'm going to give you action because you with the 16 hand. I know.
Wow, calling a big raise with 2 players behind with just 5 high. And Tony G going to call with queen-9 offsuit.
Wow.
Well, Gus Hansen calls. We're going to have 4 to the flop. This is not what Juanda expected.
And here is the flop, 10-8-6.
Basically, everyone missed. Tony G did flop a gut shot and actually has the best chance to win this pot.
Check from Juanda.
Tony, it's up to you. I check.
And check around to the turn, a queen of hearts.
Wow, this is a very interesting card. Juanda now has an up and down straight draw and a king-high flush draw. Tony G has turned top pair.
Hansen checks.
Juanda reaching for chips with his big draw.
21.
That's 21,000.
Going to make it 21,000 to go. Elezra folds.
Putting a lot of pressure on Tony G's top pair. Remember, Juanda raised before the flop. If he isn't bluffing or isn't on a big draw like he has, that queen-9 is probably no good. But he does make the call.
And Gus folds to the river. 3 of spades. No help to Juanda.
Well, now Juanda needs to decide whether to fire another bullet or not. The problem is he had the big draw. So what does he put Tony G on? He checks correctly.
That's a big check.
I don't expect Tony to bet here. He's probably going to show it down and pick up this nice pot.
Tony taking his time.
It's king of hearts. I check.
And he checks.
No pair.
And Tony G is going to win the hand, and a pretty handsome hand it is. 75,600 Australian dollars. That's just about 68,000 US.
Well, Barry, that's why we see so many of these players calling with marginal hands. To catch the right cards, you can scoop up a nice-sized pot, very big relative to your initial investment.
I'm done with straddle over here. Worked out for me.
Your brilliant idea just cost me what? 21 plus whatever.
You got one guy steaming. That's nothing.
Elezra says that he's done straddling, and he's straddling.
Bluffing again. Well, certainly Antonius has shown that he's willing to play hands like the 6-5 suited.
Raises to 5,600. Phil Ivey folds.
Again, this is the kind of hand you don't mind picking up the antes, but if you just get called, people aren't going to put you on the 6 high.
Kagawa will call.
But if I put him on the hand, then that's why I didn't value bet. If I could put him on 2 jacks, yeah, I wouldn't lose.
Tony G still looking back on past glories. He'll fold this hand.
Then I would have value bet. I would have value bet.
And Ferguson and Hansen both fold as well.
Juanda folding around to Ellie. He looks at A3 suited. He's played every suited hand.
And he'll call this hand.
Apparently Ellie thinks he's playing blackjack, as is Antonius, but they're up against the big blackjack.
Ace, 9, 8, 2 clubs. Everybody got a little piece.
Well, a lesser with only bottom pair, but we've got top pair with a good kicker against a straight and a flush draw. We could see a big pot here.
And Kagawa's going to make it 14,000 to go. Elezra folds.
One would expect Antonius to try and semi-bluff here with a solid raise. He has Kagawa covered.
And he raises to 90,000.
Well, he's essentially moving all in here. If Kagawa calls, he's committing all his chips.
Don't worry.
Well, he didn't realize that Antonius's bet had committed him all in. Well, he does now.
Well, Kagawa with a small advantage, but essentially we're flipping coins here for nearly 200,000 Australian dollars.
And an 8 of diamonds on the turn.
No help to Antonius. He needs a 7 or a club, or he's going to lose the biggest pot of the night.
Would have made trips for Elezra had he not folded.
You know how to play this kind of shit.
And it is a 7 he catches.
I was straight.
Antonius hits the inside straight. Of course, he had a flush draw as well, but he's going to win the biggest pot of the night. He has Kagawa covered, which will bust him. And we'll see the difference here between tournaments and cash game. Kagawa would be on the rail here in a tournament, but he's going to have the option to rebuy if he chooses.
182,600 Australian dollars in that pot.
Yeah, you can't win if you don't gamble. You gotta take risks.
By the way, buddy, you win all my money too if I see the turn.
Well, Patrick took in $93,000 in profit on that hand. A lot to smile about. Aussie Millions Cash Game Invitational. Well, this quick break in the action gives our very own Rebecca Harlow a chance to take us inside the beautiful Crown Melbourne.
When you think of the Crown, you think decadent, glamorous, opulent. With a premier poker tournament and everything from live entertainment to fine dining and extraordinary shopping, the Crown truly provides a world of entertainment.
First things first, if you love to gamble, this is the place for you. With over 300 table games and 2,500 slots, there is unparalleled excitement for every level of player.
Crown is Australia's premier gaming venue. We pride ourselves on the offerings that we have for all levels of gamblers, but in particular our high rollers.
There's so many nice restaurants to go to, and it's just a real pleasure to be down here.